We are back for another hot moment with a master. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Pow! Sensei Kwabin here. Moment with the master, number 35. It's lovely. We're in here talking about banks today. Didn't the Federal Reserve meet? What did they determine? Did they put our interest rates up? Did they put them down? Where are we at? Well, at Dominion Dojo today, we're here to talk about the bank of better time. Our bank of better time. What do we have in reserve? They say that the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, right? Don't they? Other countries rely on it, put it in their coffers to back their bonds and trade and oil and all these things and treaties, all that type of stuff. A little bit over my head, economically speaking, but concerning what we do in the bank of better time, our reserve currency is what we have to invest, our time. Time is our reserve currency. Let's talk about it. Here at Dominion Dojo, we're happy to be here with you another Wednesday, another moment with the master, and we have something coming out the gate. We say, no grift, no drift. No grift, no drift, right? And we'll talk a little bit about what grifting and drifting is, but there's a question we want to start out with. Have you found your spot in your country, figuratively speaking, in the community where you reside? Have you found your spot in the community? I'm not talking about your geographical community. I'm talking about the community where you will invest your time, energy, and attention. Have you found your spot? Have you identified that unique purpose, that thing that will signal, that will be your fingerprint on all that you leave behind in terms of a legacy and all that you leave behind in terms of remembrance? Have you found your spot? I, as a sensei, do teach excellence. Do teach students to aspire into their best. Shout out to the police officers. Teach students to aspire to the pinnacle, the top level, their best representation, their best expression of themselves as a martial artist. Am I trying to be the very best overall? Am I trying to be the very best in the community? Am I trying to step out and be on the podium at each turn and call? Not actually. But in terms of excellence and being my very best, this has its appeal, this has its place, and this has its pull. You know, I'm one who I would say I'm interested more in building community than I am in competition. I'm more interested in building community than I am in competition. Will I compete? Yes. Will I aim for coming out ahead and first? It has its appeal. But I'm more interested in building community over competition. Excellence matters, right? But the idea is not to chase acclaim, not to chase validation, not to always chase the shiny trophies, not to always chase the top spot. There's, even in pursuing excellence, pursuing our best, there's humility involved. There's humility involved. One concern that I have, or one thing that registers in my mind, is I think sometimes we wrestle with this idea about the top spot, that we wrestle with this idea about being first. We wrestle with this idea about moving all else aside and we emerge with the shiny trophy. There's an appeal. We push for it. We push for first place. Not saying push for second, but I'm saying that sometimes we get over eager for the top spot, right? Our desire is win or win. Win or win. There's really no other wiggle room sometimes for our focus, right? So humility accompanies this thing. So there are two things that I believe that can steal the time that we have to focus on present moments. Two things, we'll talk a little bit about it here. They are competition and worry. You heard me talk about it before. Now, competition is not bad. We need competition sometimes, inspiring us to move into new levels, move up and sharpen our skills, sharpen what we're presenting, right? In the martial arts world, sharpening our kata, sharpening our fighting abilities. Competition is good. Competition is good. But when competition arrests what we focus on, when competition keeps us from being able to focus on other things that are important, when competition and worry are the mainstays of our current focus, then that's a challenge. And that keeps us from moving into a place of settling into our space in the community. You know, there's some people who are very good competitors, bet. We should spur each other on to becoming the best, spurring each other on to becoming even the top, right? Not gassing anybody up, not building anybody up beyond the place where they need to be, because we practice to be our best. But we don't want to create fictitious stories in people's minds, and we don't want people to live by way of fictitious stories and quotes that we use to keep our minds away from moving into the space of building community, right? We know that time, it has been said, is not our friend. We're invited regularly to use time wisely. We hear the sayings, right? Time waits for no person. Time waits for no man, the saying goes. Time waits for no woman. Time waits for no person, right? Time is money, we heard it said, right? So we know the focus on time. We're still talking about the bank of better time, right? So we use something that, in order to keep us from falling into those traps where we are focused off sides, or we're off kilter, or we're off balance, we use something called the double strategy, right? And I say the double strategy acronym, the double strategy or the double acronym, that's don't open yourself up to being led easily, or don't open yourself up to being lied to excessively. The double strategy, right? And that keeps us from buying into stories, that keeps us from buying into fictitious stories and things that might arrest our time and attention, so that we aren't giving that energy into becoming all who we can best become to be, right? Because we know that time is short. The element of time is short. The actuality of time is short. We know that moments will come and go. Moments will die. Moments will come, they will die, they will expire. And for those important moments, we want to focus in on what's vitally important. We want to be able to focus in without distraction, right? Without diversion to what's vitally important. Focusing in on what's vitally important gives us a sense of flow that we can now pour into developing and to becoming the best of what we can present to our communities. Time is absolutely short. So we want to identify what is lasting, what is meaningful, what is impactful, right? Over what is temporary and expiring, and even what has passed, right? We know that time is short, but in actuality, there's an unlimited or an unendingness to time, right? Time just does not stop. Time does not take a break. Time does not take a pause. It is continual. It is moving. And we find ourselves within the element of time, finding ways to develop ourselves. But you want to know what? We each have a time bank. We each have a bank of time. When we were born, we had a full bank of time. Day one, full bank of time. And as time passed, the only direction that bank of time goes is slowly, sands of time, diminishing, diminishing, diminishing. Slowly, sands of time, diminishing, diminishing. And the reality is that none of us knows, not one of us knows where we are in that sand of time. Not one of us knows where we are in that bank of time. Not one of us knows how much time is left. Not one of us knows how much time remains, but we do know how much time we've already spent. And we do know the quality of that time that we've already spent. So we want a bank of better time, right? We want to be mindful about how we use our time and the decisions that we make with our time. We want the bank of better time. So we know that the time that we started out with, the time that was banked, minus the time that we had spent already, equals the time that we have left. Time that was banked minus the time that was spent equals the time we have remaining. You know, and we cannot know what levels we're at until it's all gone, until it's all expired, until our last day. And some of us may not even know that because it might happen in a blink, right? And so what we can do today is focus in on those, what I call now moments. Focus in on those now moments, because yesterday's moments, those are in that bank of what we might call the illusion of time. They're gone, they're done, they're expired, they're archived, right? Those are those yesterday moments, those past moments, right? And then when we talk about future moments, that could be a part of the illusion of time also. We aim for future results, but we can't do anything with a future moment. We will invest our time in the here and now. We will use a now moment to have an impact potentially on a future moment, but we can actually do nothing with a future moment or a past moment. So we stay in the present. We stay in the now. We don't want the illusion. We don't want the fictitious story. We don't want the escape. We don't want the cope. We want to remain in the reality of the now with a focus and an orientation on what we might have an impact on, down the line. We want to shift the mindset. That's called shifting the mindset. Shifting the mindset so we have an utter awareness of time, because we can't save it. Time cannot be saved. I know they said, oh, you can save time by doing this. That's a euphemism. You can't really save time. Time expires and it only goes one direction. So whatever's in the bank, whatever we spent, we subtract that out of what was in the bank, and we realize that, hey, there's something left, but we just don't know what it is. The only thing we can be solidly sure of is what we have time to do now, what our now moments present to us. So we shift our mindset, right? And when we shift the mindset and realize that these moments are diminishing, these moments are going away, these moments are becoming a shorter and shorter component of the total bank, smaller and smaller. Just these last few moments, my bank, our bank, everybody's bank has got smaller and smaller. So we shift the mindset to even have a sense of urgency about our purpose, the sense of urgency about what we're going to do in that community, a sense of urgency about who we are in relation to the communities where we exist. We want to get active and busy in helping to build that community and leaving our mark and leaving our heritage and leaving our legacy on that community. You know, I think about time, I think about some things that affect how we move in the present moment. And there's some things that are worth noting to avoid, such as, we mentioned it often, living in the past. We already know that, bang. We want to get that out of here. Cancel the boogeyman, everything. Live in the now, everything. Okay? Regret. Regret is a very big present moment, time eliminating, time focus, present moment focus eliminator. Regret. It moves us out of the present and it seats us solidly in the past. Regret. Regret about what we've done, regret about how we've shown up, regret about decisions we made, regret about outcomes, regret. It is absolutely a non-starter for living in the present, for doing things even better, having a bank of better time in the present. Regret cannot exist there. Another big one is hoping that the past returns. How many of us have got caught up in that? Hoping that the past comes back, or reveling, oh man, I remember, that's beautiful. Reflection, yes. Remember we had that time? Yo, that was solid. Yo, really, that was great. That was a great time. I remember when. Beautiful, but it has its place, right? And it should have its lane. But that lane or that place for those reflections should not move into a place of hoping that the past returns. Because the past, family, is not coming back. We have to deal with what we have here and now. We have to deal with what we're working with today. We have to deal with what's before us in terms of building the communities that we look to be involved with. So hoping the past return, another no-go. Another thing we want to avoid is guilt. Guilt, using guilt in ourselves as a motivator. I'm guilty. I ate that food. I'm on this diet plan. Own it. Yes, I did that. Here's what I'll do in the next moment. Or here's what I'll do the next time. Guilt is not a positive motivator. Guilt may have its place for us internally for a moment to help us remember the pathway to take. Guilt has its place to help us remember the pathway to take. But lingering too long, guilt is a very negative aspect on our psyche and on our motivation and inspiration. Speaking of which, another thing to avoid is just that, lacking motivation, lacking the move, lacking the drive, lacking the inspiration, and where things line up for you that try to steal your motivation. Those things you want to evaluate their effect on you, their proximity to you maybe, and how they line up with your program. Motivation is important. I'll roll off 4 other ones real quick and then we'll talk about something else real quick. Hate, envy, jealousy, and grudges. All gotta go. Avoid. Hate, envy, jealousy, and grudges. Past. All of them. Relics of the past. Okay? Here's what the activity calls for. It calls for us to avoid being idle, to get active and busy, to have identified purpose, to be ready to move on the time that we have to maximize our best possibilities, to maximize what opportunities may lie before us and may open up in our midst. And we want to avoid the illusion of time, the illusion of being able to control the future, the illusion of being able to redeem something in the past. It's an illusion. So in the martial arts, in the dojo, we work hard and we train hard. Why? Because we want certain outcomes. We might want to move to a belt. We might want to get better at the art that we practice or the multiple arts that we practice. Right? We train hard and we work hard. No grifting and no drifting. Right? You know what guilt is? You know what guilt is? Guilt is grifting until our individual life terminates. That's what guilt is. Guilt is actually grifting until our individual life terminates. G-U-I-L-T. And we don't want to grift. No grift, no drift. Time is short. Moments will die. Focus on what's important. Focus on what's vital. Let's lock in a present moment, in a present awareness, shift our mindset so that we are focused particularly on present moments, leaving the past where it's at and aspiring to better futures. Let's have a better bank of time, or a bank of better time, better said. This is Sensei Kwabin here with Your Moment with the Master number 35, talking about a bank of better time. We can always improve what our orientation is. Look to the future, line yourself up, move, use time wisely, and develop a better bank of time, or a bank of better time. This is Sensei Kwabin, Your Moment with the Master, and as you already know, I'm up out of here. What's